on and Captain Bone and Knuckles all hanging out and... Why am I getting those mad views? I wonder if it's the games I'm playing. I've got it! Back in 1988, if you were lucky enough to own an IBM PC, the gaming selection was quite slim, but there was a glimmer of hope out there of a little game called Captain Comic, a 2D platformer made by Michael Dino and inspired by the game Metroid on the NES. It was released as shareware, so that means it was free? I don't really know, but I remember playing this game as a kid but never being able to finish it. But now I think I've acquired enough skill to finish the game Captain Comic. This game is pants! Captain Comic is one of the first games released for the IBM PC. Michael Dino, the person behind Captain Comic, said,
"The adventures of Captain Comic started as an experiment to test the viability of two theories. The first as to whether a real arcade type game can be done on a standard IBM PC with an EGA card, and secondly, given the first can be done, if it's possible to make any money doing it. Well, I've come to a conclusion on the second point, but I'll let you judge the first point for yourself."
The story is you are Captain Comic, galactic hero, going on an impossible mission to recover the stolen treasures from the planet Omstock. You teleport onto planet Tambai and your adventure begins. Captain Comic plays like any other platformer. You can jump and with the help of some Blastola Cola, shoot stars to defeat enemies. The more Blastola Cola cans you collect, the more stars you can shoot at once. There are other collectibles you can get that will help you on your journey. A key that opens doors, a corkscrew that makes your stars travel in a wave-like pattern, a boot that makes you jump higher, and a magic wand that lets you teleport a short distance. There is also a shield in every different location that will replenish your health, or if you have full health, give you an extra life. There are different locations to travel to too. Outside a castle, at the seaside, inside a cave, on the moon! You know, all the normal places. As you go through each location, the enemies get harder. You start off facing against birds, but eventually come across harder enemies like jumping frogs and killer bees that follow you. You can take 7 hits before losing a life. Captain Comic is a good looking game. Dare I say it's handsome? Captain Comic looks like he's in his pajamas, and I like the idea of adventuring in your jammies. On the game's cover, Captain Comic looks like a knight in a spacesuit, but he looks better in-game. Apart from the title, there's no music in this game. There is sound effects like shooting and hitting enemies, going from one part of a level to another, London Bridge is falling down, going through doors and getting extra lives, I'm in the money. I wish this game had background music, but this game is from the time when computer games didn't have music, also known as the no music in computer games period. There is also some problems with this game, like the control layout. The shoot button is the 0 key on the number pad, which means you have to move Captain Comic and shoot with your right hand. Also, the teleport button is caps lock, and when you use it, it gets locked on and it can be difficult to turn off. But the biggest problem by far is how hard it is to jump when you're in a tight area. There are parts during the game where you need to jump over gaps, but you have no room above you, so you can only jump at certain times. I found it almost impossible to make these jumps. I had to slam the spacebar several times and hoped Captain Comic would jump. But this is the first version of the game. Michael Dino made 5 versions of Captain Comic, the last one coming out in 1991, and that one he fixes all the issues. You can configure the keys to be whatever you want, and you can now see when you jump in those tight spots. This makes the game so much more playable. The 5th version of the game is the version you want to play. The only problem with this version is it has different music, and I prefer the original music. There is also an unlicensed version of Captain Comic released on the NES in 1989, published by Color Dreams. This version does have background music, but it's of classical tunes. This version is also a lot harder than the PC version. The controls are very slippery and there's just too many enemies. I also don't think it looks as good as the PC version. Once you collected all the items, you return to where you started in the game and enter the castle. You need to go through the castle to reach the crown. The castle is swarming with enemies, but eventually you reach the room of the crown. After grabbing the crown, Captain Comic travels back to a space cruiser to begin his long journey home, totally unaware of the dangerous adventures that lie ahead in Episode 2, Fractured Reality. Wait, there's another Captain Comic game? To answer Michael Dino's question about whether you could make a real arcade type game on a standard IBM PC, I think the answer is yes. He did a great job making a solid platformer. Even though growing up I was never able to finish Captain Comic, it's not a long or difficult game. I was able to finish it in less than half an hour. But it is a great game and I recommend giving it a go. Well, I've got to go and avenge my frogs that were killed by a small boy in a neighbouring town. I guess that's why they call me Captain Bone. Wait, what?